Hello and welcome, Chisel Chip here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about the new Feather client that is just released in the beta version right now. I've received a few requests wanting an accurate review of it and my opinions of whether or not I think it's a good client for you to use. So I'll be covering the positives and negatives of this client based on my first impressions as well as the impressions of others, as well as my personal opinion of whether or not I think it will become popular and whether or not I think you should use it over other clients. So starting off with the positives, the good thing is it has pretty much everything that every other client has. It has pretty much every mod. It has customizable keystrokes and clicks per second and ping and frames per second overlays that you can have on your game, all that good stuff, replay mod. So that is a positive. You know, it's not like a positive over other clients, but it's nice that it at least has everything that other clients have so that you're not really losing much by going with Feather client. Now another thing is that it has entirely customizable mods and mod profiles that you can set. This is a really cool feature because you can essentially add whatever mods you want based on the custom versions. It does work with pretty much every version of Minecraft, mostly 1.8.9, 1.16, 1.17, that kind of thing, mostly like any other client would. So it is pretty cool that you can customize mods based on each version that you're using, and you have an option to either launch Forge or Fabric based on the version, so this is pretty cool. It also has a built-in voice chat, which is a really cool idea, although it hasn't worked for me or any of my friends yet. So don't take everything I say in this video set in stone, because it is only in beta release, and I'm sure they'll be fixing bugs later with this built-in voice chat thing. I personally will just be sticking with Discord. It's just easier, and maybe this will actually take off and be a cool thing, but that is an advantage over other clients, having a built-in voice chat. And then it does in fact give better frames per second than other clients. You know, it advertises as a very sleek interface and a very simple to run sort of client, giving you much better in-game performance, and this is in fact true based on a test that I've done as well as my other friends from what they've seen between Feather client, Lunar client, and Badlion client. And Lunar and Badlion are kind of the main ones now that are trusted on the big servers, so that's kind of what this video will be comparing to. Those are also the ones that I've used a lot. So those are some of the big positives right off the bat. Talking about the negatives, it does take longer to launch up, like to start up, than Lunar client, and not quite, you know, it's about the same as Badlion client to start up, but personally Lunar client starts up a little bit faster on my device. And I guess this kind of depends on the device, but it's also something they'll probably fix after the actual version is released. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that in-game it performs pretty well, but it doesn't start up super fast. So the interface is very sleek and clean, but so is Lunar. In my opinion, they're kind of both the same. Lunar is like extremely sleek. They have the news feed, everything like that. So is this client. I don't think it's sleeker per se than Lunar. I feel like Lunar is just kind of as easy to use and all of that. So, you know, that's not really negative, but it's not a positive on Feather client's part, because they marketed themselves as being a really high-end, very sleek client. And I think there are some things that could change when it comes to that. Now, the other thing that is a negative, or a potential negative, is that this client is still very new. I mean, it's not even officially released yet, but other clients have already been trusted and used for a long time on big servers such as Hypixel. So essentially use Feather client at your own risk, because you could get banned for things that they haven't worked out, or bugs they haven't fixed, or things like that Hypixel will not recognize, because Hypixel and Lunar have been kind of partnered essentially for a long time, and Lunar will stop using mods that it knows that Hypixel will ban. So from that standpoint, I think I'm going to stick with Lunar because it is a bit safer for now. However, I'll be going over my personal opinion really shortly to essentially give all the reasons why I think maybe I'd switch to Feather client, and when I'd do it, and whether or not it'll take off. The other negative of it is that it does cost money. Other clients are free, It may become free when the actual version is released. Again, it's just the beta version, so you do have to pay or donate or buy a cape on it, that kind of stuff, to actually use Feather Client right now. So now, my personal opinion, my honest opinion right now, I think it won't really take off. Now, I've got a bit to back that up. First of all, they have the money issue. I was talking with the owners in the Discord the other day, and I'll show a screenshot on screen right now of the exact messages, but they're essentially having a loss in profit right now. And, you know, with any business, that is something that is very commonly an issue at first. When you're starting up, you'll have a loss in profit, and you'll have to do a lot of personal investment right off the bat to actually get the thing going. But that is an issue right now. You know, they are losing money running the client right now, and the client also costs money, and they're not making that gain yet. So from that standpoint, it's a bit of a risk to know right now whether it will take off or not. And then again, as I said before, other clients have already been trusted and used. People have invested their money into cosmetics on other clients. They're used to using other clients. They have all their personalized settings on other clients. And as any new client goes, you know, Feather's a new client. Maybe people will get used to it and want to switch over to it, but maybe they'll also just stick with what they know. And, you know, me personally, I know that Lunar works really well for me, and I'll probably just be sticking with that for the time being. Maybe switching to Feather if it really does take off. You know, they could prove me wrong. It could really take off and be a potentially really good client. I think it does have some great aspects to it, but you know, that is one downside. Is it's just, you know, they're trying to start up something that's already worked for other clients very well, and so they have a pretty competitive market there. So yes, it is better frames per second in game, but personally, I only stream at 60 frames per second. I only really play the game at like 120 frames per second. It's plenty smooth for me. Maybe you guys can notice a difference from like 120 frames per second to like 390 frames per second or 500 frames per second, but I personally really don't. And my computer is still able to run Lunar Client at like 500 frames per second if I'm not streaming and stuff. So from my standpoint and for my uses, and for pretty much anyone with a good PC, you know, I don't have the greatest graphics card or anything. I just have a generic PC with an NVIDIA Quadro K5000 graphics card, so not even the TI series or anything, and I'm still able to run Lunar just pretty much as smooth, and it doesn't really matter to me to have those extra frames per second, since that was really the only thing performance-wise that I noticed as a difference. Now, another issue that I see with Feather Client is the marketing. I know they are kind of marketing themselves, you know, word of mouth. They're also getting some YouTubers to do videos about Feather Client. I'm not really sponsored by Feather Client to do this video. This is more of just like my personal opinion of what I think about them, because I'm not big enough on YouTube to really market them yet. But I don't think they're doing the best job with marketing. They don't have the proper staff that they need. They don't have the proper launches. The tutorial was okay for their, or not the tutorial, the trailer. The trailer was all right for their marketing, but it just wasn't that impressive. It looked very quickly done. And you know, it essentially feels like more of a business that's being started up by an individual or a couple individuals, rather than really building a bunch of hype for like a launch date of this awesome new client. So from that standpoint, I don't really think it's going to take off over other clients, and I'm going to be sticking with Lunar Client myself. But do let me know what you think in the comments down below. Maybe you've tried Feather Client yourself, or you have other people who are trying it, or you know some hints of what they're going to be adding and taking away and all of that stuff. Overall, I think it's a very good idea. I think it has a lot of potential, but I just don't think it's at the point right now to where it's going to catch my eye over other clients. So hopefully this video was helpful. Be sure to give it a like if it was. Obviously, comment down below any opinions or questions or any of that stuff. I know I didn't cover a ton in this video. I was just kind of doing a quick overview, if you will, because there's not a ton to cover just yet about this new client. There are some more videos that go deeper in depth about all of the settings and everything, but as I said before, it's pretty similar to other clients. It has pretty much everything that other clients have. aside from the customizable mods that you can add in mod profiles, which is kind of the advantage there. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.